Two cracking subjects this evening which should keep us going and more for the next 60 minutes. The first is the question, how will the killing of baby Ali change attitudes towards Israel? If you are amongst the minority who haven't heard what happened to baby Ali, a minority that is if you watch Press TV, baby Ali and his family were set on fire by illegal Israeli settlers in the West Bank, just south of Hebron. I was talking to an old friend of mine on the telephone from Hebron today. He was talking about the reign of terror of these illegal settlers who murdered a small baby, 18 months old, in his sleep by setting fire to his home. They so badly scorched his mother and his father and his siblings that all of them are still in a critical condition in hospital today. And this gang of illegal settlers have been setting fire to churches, to homes, and to farms, and destroying crops everywhere in the region. They spawn from the gang of the late Mayor Kahana, whose Kach movement have been running a terror operation around Hebron, around the Ibrahimi Mosque in Hebron for decades. I have seen them with my own eyes. They have a settlement called Kiryat Arba on a hill overlooking Hebron, and they have established a settlement on top, basically, of the ancient Mosque of Ibrahim, one of the holiest places in Islam. And yet, every one of those settlers is protected day and night by the gangster soldiers of the so-called Israel Occupation Force. And they're all paid for by the American taxpayer and facilitated by the diplomatic and political relations between countries like Britain and others and the gangster occupier, the so-called State of Israel. Now, this is important because those liberal news outlets that did report the murder of baby Ali pretend to be outraged by it. But they have and do daily will the means by which these gangsters carry out these kind of murders. Because if anyone questions the legitimacy of this gangster settler state, they are immediately assailed by these same liberal outlets who feign outrage at the burning of baby Ali. I made a couple of tweets on this subject, which a good friend of mine turned into a Facebook post, which was read by more than 2 million people in just a few days. It's clear that the point I was making is unarguable, that there was more coverage in Western media outlets, more outrage in the Western political class, more tears shed for the lion that was savagely killed in Zimbabwe than there ever will be for baby Ali, because Ali is an Arab. He's a Palestinian. Above all, he's a Muslim child. And he's already been forgotten, even by the liberal outlets that feigned such horror at his demise. Even David Cameron gave a statement, but he will not ever lift a finger to stop the outrage of these illegal settlers, armed to the teeth, protected day and night by the so-called State of Israel. He will not stop selling British weapons to the occupation army that protected the murderers of baby Ali. And he will oppose any attempt at boycott, at divestment, at sanctions against that gangster state. So my answer to my own question, how will the killing of baby Ali change attitudes towards Israel is this: amongst the powerful, it won't change it one little bit, any more than the murder of the boys playing football on the beach, any more than the murder of the 500 children last summer massacred in plain sight on television, live if you were watching the right channel, any more than the 2,000 or more who were slain last summer in Gaza, any more than the victims of massacre after massacre. They will not change. The political class and their media puppets, echo chambers, at all. But they will change and are changing the hearts of members of the public in all countries. I say here, as I've said before, Israel is the most hated country on the earth. More people on the earth hate Israel than hate any other entity. And the reason for that is that Israel exists because the Palestinian people have been disinherited, have been dispersed, and have been massacred, time without number. Israel exists on the bones of the Palestinian people. It exists on the land stolen from the Palestinian people. And Israel exists only because Western countries, principally the United States, but many, many others, continue to supply it with the wherewithal, with the legitimacy which allows it to pretend that it's an ordinary state rather than a gang of thieves and murderers. That's my answer. What's yours? And